SQL Secure from Idera is a security analysis solution that identifies SQL Server security violations and ensures security policies are enforced. You can find out who has access to what and identify each user's effective rights across all SQL Server objects. Using security summary reports, we can start to build a picture of how secure our servers actually are, and based on those findings, harden the system to comply with any security codes we need to adhere to. The process is policy-based and allows us to first of all select a template for security identification. We can use one of Idera's best practice or code-specific templates. Assessments are made by applying security checks and a corresponding risk level. So for any security requirements we need to know about, we can check for its compliance. We can see here an external cross-reference. This field allows us to cross-reference any security vulnerability included in your report to a number or name contained in an external security standard. The information contained here will be used to investigate SQL servers and build a report of its current security risks. We can identify the server specifically that we want to analyze, as well as adding to the report it will generate. And when we're satisfied, click Finish, and this will create a policy for which we can start gathering data and creating security assessments. Based on the selections we choose, a security report card will be produced. This visually identifies where vulnerabilities currently exist and gives us specific details relating to the findings. Here we see details relating to the policy showing a count of how many risks have been identified as well as their level of impact, and a breakdown of how many per server. Filters can also be applied to show risks per group that we checked against. This information is used to harden the SQL environment and ensure consistency across your estate as well as compliance with security codes. Assessments can be created along the way to show progress and the risk level at that point in time. Draft assessments will represent the initial findings, and published assessments will be created to show how security has been modified. These assessments can be reported on later to show where changes have occurred and provide audit reference. SQL Secure allows you to view the permission settings of individual users, roles, and objects at a particular point in time for each SQL Server instance that's been added for auditing. For each server, we can take a point-in-time snapshot, which will gather all of the security information and allow us to identify user, role, and object permissions. We can show a Windows user or group as well as SQL Server logins, and calculate the permissions against the server, even including the specifics of a database. This gives us immediate access to details of membership to different groups you may not have been previously aware of, and we can then see the assigned levels of access, so what they're explicitly entitled to. We can then calculate the effective permissions, so what they gain access to by virtue of group and role membership. Drilling down into role and object-specific permissions will again identify where users are able to gain access. Here we can look at a specific table and show the inherited permissions, identifying some users that may be falling outside of our accepted security guidelines. The reports component of SQL Secure allows you to generate reports on SQL Server permissions. You can use reports to confirm regulatory compliance and enforce security policies. Reports are broken down into 4 areas: general reporting, showing audited servers, users, and activity history; entitlement, focusing on permissions, access, and mappings; vulnerability identifies where known issues of authentication are concerned, such as mixed mode authentication; and comparison, which allows us to put assessments or snapshot comparisons side by side to identify change over time as well as deviation from baselines we set. For additional functionality, we can deploy the reports to Microsoft Reporting Services. This allows us to give reporting access to auditors and other outside assessment teams. One such example of this is the assessment comparison report. Here we can take 2 assessments from different times and place them side by side. Choose the servers for reference, and even elect to show a full report or just the differences that have occurred. Any changes to the report detail will be listed, as well as a graphical representation of the differences per server in the policy. As we look through the report, we can see what changes were made, as well as specific detail and where it applies. For additional information, please head to www.idera.com and look out for other training videos in our virtual education series.